Well, I think an ear. You know, we get trained in all of our professions to listen, but we quickly get so good at what we do that we so often forget to listen and do a lot of talking. I think as anyone who wants to be a representative of the citizens, you have to have an open door. And I think the Hispanic community, just like any other part of the community, wants that in their representative. Education is so important. It's unthinkable that among the Hispanic population in the state of Texas, the dropout rate is 47%. That has to be fixed. I served on the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board after I had served 7 years on the college board here. Back then it was North Harris Montgomery Community College District, now it's Lone Star College System. Great experience, great college system. And I know that we teach a lot of the students that are in this group. So I think that what we can do to help the community college district, where most of our Hispanic students get their first opportunity for college, anything we can do there, and of course the money, a third of the money comes from the legislature, is a very important opportunity for higher education.
Can you tell us what is the percentage of Hispanics in the state of Texas?
In the state of Texas, I think it's approaching 27%, 28%, and the prediction, I think we already a majority minority state when you combine the Hispanic population with the black population, and that's the fastest growing segment of the population in Texas is the Hispanic population. The demographics are just going to be amazing. I actually chaired a year-long study on higher education that resulted in the Closing the Gaps report, where we identified what we had to do in the next 10 years in order to make sure that we close some of these gaps that have to do with excellence and opportunity, and especially in the Hispanic and black community. What I'm real proud of that report is that often you do some of these studies and you present a report, and it's a report of 1,000 pages, kind of like some of our legislation that nobody reads and uses as a doorstop. Well, we decided to take a different approach with Closing the Gap. We decided, no, we're gonna make a document that's very short, very readable, some key strategies, key points, and you can put it on a card and take it with you all the time. And we actually did that with the first two legislatures that I served when I was on the coordinating board, and they still use it as a guide when the legislature is making the decisions on funding to higher ed. How is this going to close the gaps in these areas? So I'm really proud of that document. There was a lot of people involved. We did several city hearings. Took 1 year, but it's a document that lives and keeps doing some good.
Can you tell us one or two points of those closing the gap that maybe we could take with us?
Mm-hmm.
What did you find was more effective, or that really gets closing the gap more tight?
I think we all know that having role models is so important. So using creative ways to get the population that we need to target interested, even knowing that the opportunity exists. And we challenge the community colleges. And I have fondness for the community colleges. Of course, we have some fine four-year universities, and both public and private in Texas. But I do have a fondness for community colleges. And we challenged all our community colleges to find a way that's creative. San Antonio did some great stuff. I'll give you one example. They told parents, and in most cases mothers, that if they enrolled in a course and successfully graduated with a degree, that their kids would be guaranteed tuition-free education when they grew up. Now, how can you, what mother not only would not be interested in helping herself, but knowing that if she succeeded, that she was also helping her children. That is a very easy, creative way, and relatively inexpensive way to outreach to the target population. So those kinds of creative things are happening a lot in our schools, and I think community colleges do a better job of that. And not that it doesn't exist in the four-year universities, but I think the colleges do a great job there. I think the report is is still available on the web. You can go on the coordinating board webpage and access the Closing the Gaps report. They're still using it. They've done several updates to it over the years. I've been off the board now for about 6 years, and I know that it's still being refined.
I've got a question. One of the challenges that I see is representation of Hispanics on school boards. I guess you were the last Hispanic to be on the board of directors for the system that is now Lone Star College system. Is that correct?
I think there was one other gentleman after me, but he's not on the board now. Yeah.
There are currently 2 black people and 6 white people.
Right.
0 Hispanic representation.
Right.
In a school system that has at least 20 to 30% student population, how does that get fixed? How does parity become something important to the powers that be?
Well, I think organizations like this are very critical in doing that, raising the awareness. The parity doesn't necessarily have to be represented by someone in the community. I think if we aren't interested in running for public office, and we should be, I think we should be. I encourage as many people as possible, and all my friends say, "Are you crazy running for office? You know, here's the pluses and the minuses outweigh the positives a lot." But you have to have a passion for it. So I think we need to encourage people to run for office, and you know, like Lincoln did. Sometimes you have to run quite a few times before you win, and I think people in our community may have to do that, experience some defeat, and you learn from it, and then say, don't give up. I mean, keep going for it. But short of that is having the ear of the person who is elected in that position. And I think we have some good people on our school board. You have one of the gentlemen in this building, and I think anytime you want to, you can probably you can go in his office and say, "What are you doing?" Yeah. So by having organizations like this and increasing the awareness level, even if we don't have an Hispanic in office, we can influence those who are. And if we vote,
Yeah.
I mean, we have to teach our people the importance of voting.
We are starting at the high school level, but even thinking of the middle school level, is beginning to redefine a person's image or definition of what they can be in this country. And that is so critical.
You know, not everyone's going to have the opportunity to get drafted and get exposure to medicine or other professions that are important to our country, and run into all these great people that I talked about. So we have to help the students get those opportunities.
I was going to ask you a question. Knowing that you're successful, how did you motivate your children to follow that, knowing that they had a whole lot more advantages than you ever had?
That is a big challenge, because whenever I can't say I'm an historian, and I'm not a what's a specialty that studies human nature, anthropologist and psychologist. You know, I'm not any of that. But we do see is when you have an immigrant family, the first 2 generations usually are pretty motivated, and they know that they have to struggle to get ahead. But the success then does cause a little bit of complacency in the children, maybe in the 3rd generation, and that is a huge challenge. And we have to.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, we have to. We want to do what's best for our kids, so that therefore we give them what they want. Sometimes we have to remember that we also have to give them what they need as well as what they want. And what they need is some of these principles instilled in them, make them work. You know, when they get to middle school and high school, why not? I mean, we all did it by working full time and going to school and doing well. Just ask them to work part time. Teach them the value of money. Teach them the value of work. And also in doing so, that it takes a lot of people to make things happen. I think that is very important. Now, of course, they also learn from the experience of seeing what's around them. A lot of folk are very concerned that the next generation in this country is not going to have what we've been able to accomplish. But I think we are survivors.